Unexpected Missionaries is a story of three, Alvaro, Natalia, and Catalina, in the country of Chile. The story begins. Alvaro and Natalia never planned to become missionaries on a far off highland. The couple had been happily married for 9 years in Chile. He worked as a dentist for the Seventh-day Adventist Church. She was a physical therapist at Chile Adventist University, and also they had a 3-year-old daughter whose name is Catalina. Then they had a sermon about Adventist volunteer service on an organization where Adventists can volunteer to help the Adventist World Church in its mission to proclaim the gospel around the world. They felt that God was calling them to volunteer. Can we do this as a family? Alvaro and Natalia asked each other. They felt terribly old. It seemed like only university students and young people in their 20s volunteered with the Adventist Volunteer Service. So Alvaro and Natalia were both 35 years old. The couple spoke with the university pastor who had made the appeal in his sermon. The pastor assured them that God calls for people of all ages to be missionaries. So the couple took volunteer training at the university and looked for job opening on the Vivid an Adventist website where people can apply for volunteer position. They felt drawn to an open for volunteer to serve here on remote volcanic Easter Highland, and they applied for the position. A short time later, the couple received the news that the application had been accepted and they were asked to leave for Easter Highland in 2 weeks. They were surprised about the speed in which God had answered their prayers. It was the first lesson as missionaries. They saw that God was in charge and they needed to submit. 2 weeks later, the family boarded a plane and flew 5 hours 30 minutes to Easter Highland. They landed at an airport that is considered to be the most remote in the world. It is located 2350 miles to the nearest airport. A very different culture greeted the family, with the Roman Catholic influence was a strong on mainland Chile. People on the island leaned on their ancestral teaching. On mainland Chile, everyone spoke Spanish, but on the island, everyone spoke Laponia language. Alvaro and Natalia and felt trapped on the mainland Chile, which is one of the longest countries in the world, stretching about 26 miles from the north to south. But Easter Highland covered only 63 square miles, and most of it is that 800 people that lived in that capital. Food was never a problem on the mainland, but bread was rationed on the highland. Sometimes there was no flour. Food arrived by boat, and the tides didn't always allow the boats to dock. Complicating matters, the couple quickly learned that many highland didn't like people from the mainland. This made it difficult to make friends and to gain people's trust. Remembering how quickly God had brought them to the highland, Alvaro and Natalia decided to trust in him and take his word. Then God began to work in an amazing way. Alvaro worked in tourism rather than dentist in order to meet more people and better promote the Seventh-day Adventist Church. Natalia got a job at the local hospital. They bought a small motorcycle and went door to door, making visits and giving Bible studies. The couple was also responsible for reading the local Adventist church, which 10 elderly members when they alive. For the next year, Alvaro and Natalia did everything that pastor does, except baptizing and officiating wedding. He even conducted a funeral. As they worked at the church, they reopened the clubs for pathfinders and adventurers that had previously been closed. To their delight, about 25 children showed up the first meeting. As the months passed, the number of children grew and grew. The couples trained local master guides and pressed the Pathfinders and Adventurers clubs into their herd. When they left, the two clubs had 95 children, and the children were bringing their parents to church on Sabbath. One Pathfinder and his mother had also been baptized. A pastor flew into the island to carry out the baptism. Alvaro and Natalia said, "It was challenging here, but they couldn't change anything about it. Thanks to God, the church now has a local leadership on the island. The Pathfinder and Adventurer clubs have remained open," Natalia said. "We believe that God did a lot in the year that we were there, and He opened the way for many."